Now, Thorin, let us talk about the latest announcement around the LCS. So we did have a very good opening week of LCS, which we will talk about. Like, I'm very encouraged by a lot of the decisions that are being made about LCS. Best of 3 is going very well, but we got the predicted announcement, which is that the finals are going to be in the YouTube Theater in Inglewood, which is in the southern part of Los Angeles. It's part of...
I'll never be able to get past, Monty, the fact that as someone British, I shouldn't know anything about Inglewood, right? I already know it from that Dr. Dre line where it goes like, what hoods, Compton, Inglewood, and you're hosting the LCS there. Bro, he's naming off his favorite dangerous hoods, and we're hosting the LCS.
Inglewood's a lot better. So it's part of the...
Has it been improved? Has it been gentrified?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And also, it's part of the SoFi Stadium complex. So when they built the giant new stadium, the YouTube Theater is part of that. And so I haven't been there. It's apparently quite nice. It's very close to LAX, which makes it convenient for people who are flying into the event. It's about a 5,000 person capacity. It's super close to the airport. And, you know, people are, however, frustrated, first off, by the size of this event. You know, they want the stadium event, even though they haven't been selling out stadiums recently for LCS guys. I think it's probably smart to put it in a smaller venue. But people are, I think, understandably frustrated that...
Matt, this is blowing my mind. Are you implying... I actually got so lost there. I thought you meant people are mad because they want to buy tickets. There's not going to be enough. Wait a minute. Are you actually telling me... Let me just get into esports mode again. Are you telling me some randoms on the internet who have never given any obligation that they'll give any money to this project are mad that even though they won't buy a ticket, Monty, when they look on their free stream, they just want to see a bigger stadium? Are you actually implying that's what people are mad about? Even though we don't even know if they'll sell out? Because you're right, by the way. The odds you'd sell out more than 5K is very low for LCS. Come on, mate. You're not going to sell out 10K, surely.
So again,
they have to give away tickets for free usually. What the fuck?
When they were in Raleigh, part of it was, I think it was Easter Sunday in the South, but you know, it was maybe like 2/3 full from the people I've spoken to who were there.
And was it a similar size capacity?
No, that was like an actual like hockey arena.
Oh, they actually did sell out more than 5K then. Maybe they did 10K or
they
something.
did.
Right. Okay, that's
something like that.
Fair play. Okay.
But you know, this guarantees it being full, but people are upset that, you know, it's happening in Southern California where the LCS always is. And it's not going to be on the East Coast, for example, or in Canada or anywhere else. Okay. Which I do think makes sense because remember, they got rid of the stadium.
You have to go and see it.
It's literally the only chance because now they got rid of the event in the spring. So there is no spring roadshow. So it's really just this one. And to have it be, you know, 10 miles away from Riot HQ and the LCS studio is pretty lame. And, you know, people were excited about maybe it being on the East Coast. Also, remember, guys, that as far as United States population goes, 2/3 of the American population is in the Eastern or Central time zones. OK, so the West is still, you know, the Mountain and Pacific time zones are still only about 1/3 of the country. So it's still, even though LA is the second biggest city, obviously you have big cities in Northern California, you know, the Bay Area, but, you know, it is less populated. And so a lot of people don't want to travel 5 hours from the Northeast to go to an event in Los Angeles. And so we don't have it in Boston or in the Midwest in Chicago or in Toronto again, or some, you know, Vancouver or somewhere like that in Canada where Canadians might have better access to it. Right. So, you know, this is an issue that people are frustrated with right now. And I think understandably so, because this also, Thorin, might be the last LCS final.
Oh, true. Yeah. Thing is, I would just use this cynically if I was Riot as like a marketing exercise. What I'd do is I'd go, we understand that a lot of people on the East Coast want to see League of Legends and are missing the fact we don't have it and the fact we're in such a small stadium. So you know what? You're on the East, we're on the West. Why don't we meet you in the middle? The Middle East. And then Mark Merrill gets out on a magic carpet. A whole new world. Life-changing money, 60 million. And then you just go, Nick, here's the thing. Technically, Monty, if every event's in Riyadh, it can't be unfair. That'll be, remember, by the way, I don't know if you've ever noticed this online, Monty, but there's a type of moron, and they're very, very, very prevalent, who thinks whenever you complain about some fucked up setting, like, you know, if you say something, it's too cold in the studio, there's a moron that'll always go, Yeah, but it's the same for both teams, so that makes it fair. I've never understood that thinking ever, mate. Because, like, by their logic, like, if you have one of those games, which they actually do, sadly, in the NFL, where it's like a frozen tundra of, like, fucking, like, you know, like dog shit thing where everyone's slipping over and, like, you can't catch the ball. They're like, you make out like that's like a good game. Like, no one wants to see that game. That's garbage, isn't it? So, yeah, I think it's nonsense, mate. Pretty fair. By the way, I do think it is sad though, because I have always thought actually that's the area I found most underwhelming about LCS the entire time I've watched it. Is, bro, I actually thought the one thing you should be able to rely on Americans for is having a big show. It's putting like the big finals on and the pyrotechnics and the jets fly over, like the Super Bowl. I always thought the LCS, by the way, whether it's the 4th or 5th best region or not, I always thought you'd at least put like the fanfare out there. So I'm amazed that all these years they've had all these fucking studio finals or small, like you say, mate. We're going to Raleigh, North Carolina for the North American Championship. What sport is this? Fucking pig wrestling or something? You can't. Like, you never have like the fucking Super Bowl there. What are you talking about? Like, that's actually mad, mate. Tallahassee for MSI. Like, there's been some ass locations in the US. Like, think about it. There's all those baller ass fucking stadiums. Well, not Cowboy Stadium. How about that?
They did do an event at the Houston Texans Stadium and the football team, and they've done Madison Square Garden, both for Worlds and for LCS finals. But that was, back
10 years ago now, man.
Yeah.
Literally 10 years ago now.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. By the way, I'll never forget also, I actually do think, Monty, that like a LCS, the moment that it actually jumped the shark, when it bumped into the glass ceiling and it never broke through, was the moment that not only did CLG win the LCS, which at the time was momentous, they never won it, remember, but it's when they won and Darshan actually said, I think we're going to win Worlds. Like, I've never recovered, because then they got grouped, if people don't know. I've never recovered from how mental it was. Because you want to believe, you want people to say shit like that, but it just seemed so stupid. I remember even when he said it, thinking like, shit, I've just had like a harsh realization they can never win Worlds. Like, why is he even saying this? This is mental. I love it. I love it. Because MSG was the spot, of course.
Yeah, and look, I think, I've done esports events at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I did the first Overwatch League final there. It's a great venue. There's lots of venues that you could pick right now. Apparently, it might also be true that they switched the dates to Friday, Saturday, because that's the opening weekend for the NFL. Also, which would be the Rams or the Chargers are using the SoFi Stadium on Sunday. Okay. So they can't even do it, the finals, which is normally on a Sunday, which is another little weird part of using this facility in Los Angeles. But it's just cheaper for Riot because they don't have to move anything very far. In fact, maybe they can still use their control room at Riot HQ instead of renting a broadcast truck.
You know what pisses me off, Monty? If people don't know, the reason why when we first launched Last Free Nation, we did that like live event around Worlds where Monty was there for the finals and all that jazz, and had Wolf and Papa Smithy and all the door, all those people with him, is because at the time, like initially when we started our company, we weren't doing it as a startup. We thought we were going to get funded, and so we were going to like spend some of our money on this essentially to like build out doing live events and make that like a service we could sell to people and stuff. But obviously the reason we haven't done anything since is we don't have the money now. Now we're in the esports winter too. We're all hibernating with all our fucking acorns just trying to survive. So the sad thing is people won't know this, but like we do want to do those events. Like I personally think it would be dope if every time you had a Worlds or something, we were just there for a week and we had like, because then the scenario would be just like this channel now. If you don't want to actually go to like the stadium and just sit with all the pleb fans and watch the show, you would come to our like thing at a bar nearby or something. We'd have like fucking trivia. I've always thought like that is so obviously missing, because if you notice, Monty, what people have missed out is this. That's the live equivalent of a core stream. It's actually like an under-tapped area of the market. Like I've always thought that, by the way. I'm amazed that people don't pay like Tarek to just go to like the Valorant finals, just go to like the VCS finals and have a giant fucking watch party where like, some bar pays them like 100K or something mad. I think that's like an undervalued area there. Like you could really build that out. I think people want that experience.
You don't even have to go to the same place. In fact, it may be better go to an entirely different place. So, for example,
what would be does it in New York or something? Yeah, of course.
Exactly. Like, so if Worlds is in Europe, why not do one of those parties in New York City, right?
Yes,
for people who can't go. We've talked about that, and at least for us for LFN, like that is something that we're actively pitching to sponsors as well, and it will happen. Again, at some point. It was really fun when it happened the first time. We got a lot of live content there. We had like 600 people in this bar. We broke all the sales records for this bar. And it's, that's the bar where people go for like Golden State Warriors playoff games when they're away and stuff like that. So it's very successful. We'll get back there, guys, but we do want to do stuff like that where we actually host esports events and have people, LFN people fly in and create content and like do stuff there. So
if people know Counter-Strike, a bit like what they also do where HLTV does the live podcast, HLTV Confirmed, from events when they're attending anyway to like cover it. I think that's like mad valuable. I want to do that in the future.
Yeah,
it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have this show live, mate. Wouldn't that be dope to have like a live episode of somebody inside?
Yeah, bleeding right into the world final.
We're already doing all the buckets. We've already done. If you don't know, by the way, guys, this is also where you can never ever talk shit to me and Monty. Because if you want to talk shit about this show, you're too late. Like you could have done it years ago, when we didn't make much ad rev, or we put loads of hours in, or maybe, like you're just giving opinions, guys. We actually did this show, paid by other people to do the show in the same studio they filmed the NFL Red Zone. Kiss my ass. I'm not even from fucking League of Legends. That's so fucking. That's a flex and a half, mate. We were in that studio. That's fire.
Shout out AT&T.
We even brought
we welcome you back.
Because everyone's going to forget. I'm even going to refresh people. Don't you remember the mad wrestling kayfabe nonsense we did? Where we had like me and Loco, because I'd already previously done a real like walk off of that show. I did like a short thing where I told Loco like I'm never doing the show again, so it's cancelled for Worlds. And then we did that thing where like wrestling. Oh, music is not like, and then Loco's just on the show as well. And by the way, how glorious was that, guys? Think about the segments we created. Thanks, Loco. There was the thing where he said that Splice would lose to J-Team, even though they'd never seen J-Team play. That is one of the greatest analytical moments in history. And then I personally think his actual... I know you're the same, Monty. When we did the Chinatown parody
the film
skit,
noir, yeah.
Loco's dog shit acting is my favorite part of that. Even though our lines of fire was good, it's how bad he is actually perfect because he's like one of those bad actors from that era. Actually, like the really wooden people. Like, what do you mean? I don't know about that. Like, he was just so rubbish, wasn't he? He was so, but in like in charming way, and like sort of endearing how bad he was at acting. He was so bad, wasn't he?
It was a good time.
So bad. And if people don't know, we really did write all those cold opens in like 30 minutes before. Like, we never had any fucking planning. Like, that's why I also like to do this shit live. Imagine all the live skits you could do. That'd be dope as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, be fun. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. I'm not worried about it. But yeah, so
what do you think about this final shit then? You think they should have had it in a bigger stadium? And somewhere on the road?
Not necessarily a bigger stadium, but like a different location. I think putting it on the East Coast or in Texas or somewhere like that would probably be pretty welcome for the fans. And after not having spring, it just feels bad. You know what I mean?
It's my joke, Monty. I think they should have had it at some sort of Mexican border town with cartel ties, because then anyone who wanted to attend the event could attend. There'd be an enormous amount of fans. Make the event free to enter, obviously.
Jesus.
It's from the emergency. You can't mock that. It's the Americas. What are you talking about, mate? It's all one region now.
It's all one region. That's coming in the future.
You know what's sad? This is where I will always have that cacoethes element. If people don't know, one of the most surreal things ever on the internet was where, I can't even remember how this happened. I think someone on Twitter just linked it. Someone linked this picture that's like a Renaissance era portrait, and it looks exactly like me. You've seen this image years ago, right? And it just says on this image, cacoethes, which is a word that no one's ever heard of, which means like the irresistible desire to do something inadvisable. And the reason it's mental that it looks like me with like a devilish grin is because Richard Lewis always said that is just like my Twitter personality. It's just like the irresistible desire to do something inadvisable. So like I've always had that fucking, just wanted to get that cheeky little line off. Always had that in me.
But
because that's what I've realized, by the way, from now on, what I'm going to do, it's genius, is I've actually now got like a shield from which I can make edgy jokes. Because if they're about Saudi or about, well, no one can complain because you're all doing way worse stuff. If you actually work with the people who kill the people, my joke can never be that bad, can it? Like you've actually created, are you ready, guys? A safe space for me in esports. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate the safe space.
It turns out that words weren't the worst thing in the end that could happen to this industry. Now we're all sad. We're all sad that that's the case. That I would love to go back to where words were the worst thing you could do.
Here's the metaphor. Everyone on the internet was like a secretary. They were typing away all these angry messages, and everything was moving to the left like this. But then along came those Saudis with that big bag of money, and they moved it all. The over to window just moved all the way back to the right. So welcome. We're here now. You're all fucked. You all did that. That ding was the sound of the Saudi money. Just ding. You were all typing. It was and then ding, and it's back. There you go.
Amazing. But I did think the LCS had a good start to this split.
Oh.
I
the
really
best of 3 already succeeded. We
Yep.
only had to watch 1 week. It's all right. By the way, literally the first 2 series, like the Dignitas Cloud9 one was way better because it was 3 games. Like, bro, 1 week just proved the format already. Like, it's way better than watching a BO1, isn't it? By the way, Dignitas would have won the BO1 if that was the case. Like, it's way better to have a series, guys.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.